Do you find music sexual, erotic? Yeah, definitely. I feel like our music is definitely sexual and erotic. There is a big element of sexuality and eroticism in it, but maybe also intimacy more than anything. With lyrics, especially, often when writing words, I would think about how intimacy manifests itself nowadays. The body and the bodily intimacy are these things that we're interested in, and we're interested in how they change because of the technology dominated world, and how we translate and carry our bodies online. Speaking in Baudrillardian terms, the lyrics and our visual material often touch upon ideas of simulacra, and body is something that often becomes reduced to a division of surfaces, these retouched layers of skin perfection. Sadly, or maybe thankfully, its finitude, beauty, and seduction are lost. And of course, this can be very liberating and give us freedom to present ourselves in any way we want. But also, it obviously puts a lot of pressure on us as humans, especially female form, as it is presented and received via the screens. And sadly, this is something that still remains a big problem and still really hasn't changed fully. And I feel like, of course, the word naked itself, similarly to nudity, sex, and intimacy, has become so loaded. And the nebulous nature of the word itself is interesting, as it's something with, of course, sexual connotations. It is about how we portray it and how the society has been directing us. Sex and nudity become so shaped by the society that they have almost completely lost their pure rawness and this kind of intrinsic primordial nature that now becomes overshadowed by how media and the society have trained us to react to these things. And at first, the name of the group was meant to be suggestive of purity, something that is very exposed, fragile, bold, pre-linguistic almost, very open to interpretations. This is what we wanted our music to be like, and there's this juxtaposition between this delicate and pure and vulgar, innocent, fragile, and sexual and perverse, sublime and primitive. We also definitely try to add elements to our music that would make it sexual in one way or another. So it's either this relentless pulsating movement, rawness of the noise, of violent disorders, lyrics that are suggestive of certain intimacy and sometimes eroticism, and a lot of breathing and little intricacies, maybe hardly noticeable but still effective. We want our music to be sometimes sexual in a self-destructive way, maybe, sometimes in a very sublime and delicate way. We also want it to be unconscious of sex, so it almost manifests itself in our music and live performances in a very natural way. So the live show is somewhat violent and erotic at points, but this is again something super important to us, because with our live performances we always try to make them very powerful and intense during the duration of the performance, almost to the point when they can never be fully translated digitally. Very ephemeral. We aim to create this kind of intense, multisensory and fully immersive hypnotic experience, almost kind of ritualistic, and using both heavily metallic and digital and also humanly fragile sounds and powerful industrial lighting and smog and smell and sometimes taste affecting pills. And also hopefully in the future we want to kind of explore temperature changes, so the temperature corresponding to the sound, the frequency shifts, to create this kind of situation where the awareness of your own human body, emotions and sensory system becomes heightened. And this is also linked to something that I've been like super interested in for the past few years, not eroticism per se, but human sensory systems, and from the kind of neuroscientific point of view. And I was going to kind of look into studying and researching something that has informed our live performance a lot at the start, how our sensory systems readjust themselves because of the digital representation, and how we are learning the idea of physical sublime experience over again. We're kind of relearning it in a way.